Yeah, I'm feeling comfortable. Well, I don't know if it's comfortable or uncomfortable. The last time I sat in a chair like this in front of so many cameras, it was in Scotland Yard.
So, Michael, why don't you just tell us a little bit about where you come from, what your story is?
Well, my story is I came from a good family, to be honest. Background, my dad was a builder, well respected. My mum, everything, she was well respected family in a small village in Waltham St Lawrence. Then everything was going really well, you know, bowling along up till I was 12 years old. Mother died, brain hemorrhage, which I witnessed. You know, walked into the room and she had literally died 30 seconds later in front of me. Moving on further, my dad was looking after me, but it was always in pubs because that was the way life was back then. I used to get dropped off at school outside the Crooked Billet, and I used to get looked after by, well, the local nutcases really, because most of them knew me and they all worked for my dad anyway. You know, hog carriers, bricklayers. So I grew up in an environment of if you like, a school of hard knocks, and the norm was to be in a pub with friends, you know, so-called friends, but they looked after me. You know, when my dad couldn't, he was out working, but I got on with everybody there, and that rolled on to just a way of life of not skullduggery, but it was a way of life drinking, and it was a little bit crazy all the time. You know, bar fights. You know, it was madness in the Crooked Billet back in the day, with full of builders. And then when I was, I can't remember if I was 19 or 21 now, but my dad died cancer. He had cancer for like 3 or 4 years. He died of cancer, and then that was it. I mean, I was just like, I didn't take on the company what my dad left, but I just went and jobbing building for everyone. But I was amongst complete and utter lunatics, and people say, you know, I got in with the wrong crowd. Well, really, I actually was the wrong crowd. I mean, I was, you know, I attracted people to me, but I was the worst of them all anyway, because like I tried and explain to my daughter, I've never been the hardest or the toughest person on, you know, who I was around. I was probably the least toughest, hardest bloke to be around. Yet I used to take things to a different level. I was like really nasty, really evil, doing a lot of stupid things. You know, fighting, drinking, drugs. I started doing cocaine as soon as my dad died, literally within weeks. I was taking cocaine, speed, all the party drugs, and my life just spiraled out of control. But in between that time, I managed to run a company, having 26 blokes working for me, and life felt good, but there was always something missing, and it felt like I had everything in my life, but actually probably nothing at all. Whereas, flip that over now, for all the skullduggery, the debt collection and rubbish I used to do, if I flip that over now, where I'm just starting out a new business, you know, I haven't got everything I want at the moment, but I've got everything that I need, and you know, praise to God that my business is going to go, you know, a lot better, and it seems like it is.
Can I just ask you then, Michael? Then, what was it that caused the change in the story that you had from where you've been and where you could have got stuck to where you've got to now?
Well, my daughter literally caught. I walked in from a debt collection job which I'd done, and I had 7.62 Browning. Threw that on the side. You know, 150,000 volt stun gun. Threw that on the side. Turned around, I was covered in blood, somebody else's blood. And my daughter saw me, and that was a decline. And I thought I got away with it. Told her a load of lies about what had happened, you know, and I thought she believed me. And then there was a lot of lies going on. And I just lied to her, and then flipped that forward. It came to Christmas. I can't remember what year it was now, but it was nearly 3 years ago. I was off my head on drugs, and I thought I'd got away with it in front of my daughter, and my daughter just sent me a message saying, I can't see you like that anymore, Dad. You are a mess. And I was a 33 stone flipping horrible, nasty mess. The only person I was ever decent to really was probably my sister and Emily and Aidan, my family. The rest of the world could just go and do it as far as I could concerned back then. I mean, you know, I thought the world hated me and I hated it back with a vengeance. You know, I was terrible. So Emily said she couldn't handle me the way I was. And I literally just thought, do you know what? I've had enough of this. And that was on the Thursday. On the Friday, I literally said to my sister knew about Battelle UK, a Christian rehab. And she's been nagging at me for years saying, "You ready?" So I just thought, you know something, I am ready. I can't be bothered to be in this life anymore the way I am. It's time for a change. So on the Thursday, I was convinced myself that I was going to go. On the Friday, I was obviously trying to convince myself not to go. and on the Monday, I literally got a lift to Nottingham, and that's Battelle UK Nottingham. And I decided I was changing my life. And I was completely out of the mess. My back was shot, 33 stone, had heart conditions, had a bad heart condition which I've just got over, blood clots in my lungs, legs, all over the place. Back was smashed to pieces through all the stuff what I've been through, drugs wearing off, you know, and I couldn't move at all. And Alex, the main pastor, Alex, Darren, and a Guyana fella called Lamar, they all supported me. The first year that I was in there, it was, you know, I didn't ever think I was going to be a believer in Christ or anything like that. You know, I mean, for the first 8 weeks, my back was shattered just because the drugs started wearing off. I was in agony all the time, more or less cried my eyes out every single day. Slowly started to do little prayers and praying of an evening, just praying that something had happened. I could, you know, I might find Jesus somewhere along the line. I thought I might find Christianity along the way, and it just happened. One afternoon I was working, and my back was killing me so much. Went into like a quiet room. I started reading Job, and I remember I was in absolute agony. I was crying my eyes out again. One of the pastors came through, you know, quieted me down. I was, you know, not in a very good mood at all, but I started reading Job, and I read it right the way through and got towards the end where it's, you know, saying, you know, he got everything back and everything in tenfold, and it was all amazing. I just closed my eyes and said a little prayer, you know, I need you now, God, please help me. You know, and I just heard, there was nobody else in the house, and I just heard a little tiny voice, there was something in the back of my head, what said, you know, it's all going to be all right, it's going to be okay, you know, you and your family are going to be okay. And I heard it so clearly, yet it was so distant, and I just broke down in tears. I was like amazed by it all. I was like, blimey, is this, you know, this is the first time I've, you know, bumped into Jesus? And it obviously was, because from that day forward, I not only started changing, but I actually started noticing the change in people within Battelle, which I was helping, because by this time, you know, it had moved on, and I started realising, you know, and how powerful Christianity was, if you like, how powerful knowing Jesus, living a life, a pure life, how much it changed. I realised I had changed quite a bit, but I started taking people under my wing while I was in Battelle. Like, you know, you take the people who are just coming in, you take them, you look after them. And like a real wise man in Battelle, he said, you know, you won't realise what a great place Battelle is until you leave it and you look in and you notice the change in you, and you start noticing the change in people's views of you, that how much you've changed for the better and how much you're changing people's lives for the better. And I've carried on doing that since I've left. All the leadership, everybody in Battelle have been drug addicts, so they know where you're coming from, they know your story. And my story was, I was a complete and utter mess, and until I bumped into Jesus in that room, it started changing my life forever, and it has improved it to such a state now when I'm actually helping people out and taking them there. But I've always said that Battelle, you know, saved my life, and the people in Battelle saved my life. You know, Alex, Darren and Lamar undoubtedly saved my life for the respect what I've got from him still now is 100%. But finding Jesus in that place has secured my future, and you know, I'm at a stage in my life now. The business is starting to move on. It's called Cornerstone Foundations UK, and life's good, God's good, and it couldn't be better at the moment. So praise the Lord.
Brilliant. I've got a really important, deep theological question I need to ask you,
Yeah.
Michael, which is it possible to follow Jesus and be a Millwall supporter?
Well, it is. It's possible to be a Millwall supporter and follow Christ. Some people think it's harder and hard to do so, but I'd rather be a Millwall supporter following Christ than I would than a West Ham or a Tottenham fan.